Ho, 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 everyone. Welcome to today's edition of the Daily Market Commentary. This is our DMC Weekend edition. Hope everybody had a great trading week, that the markets treated you well, and frankly, and maybe that you didn't spend too much time in front of them, because it wasn't the week to do that. I think those of you that listen to our videos every day this week realize that this was a week, a great time to do last-minute shopping and to get away from your computers and to sell options premium. I'm just saying, for those of you that trade options, a way to go. So those of you that are new to the channel, thank you for being here and joining us. Those of you that have that are here regular, I'm glad you're able to make it in, and hope everybody had a good holiday. You're catching this on the flip side as we prepare for Tuesday's market opening. So what we're going to do today is just kind of look at some bigger time period stuff. I know typically on the daily market commentary we're looking at hourly charts. I want to go a bit larger time frame on the weekend editions so that we can just get a perspective of what we think may happen over the course of the next week. For those of you that are new to the channel, we use lines on the charts, and those lines stay on the charts at all times. We leave the lines on so that you can see how trades develop over time. Let's go ahead and dive into it. So starting with the S&P. Now the S&P, we've actually got on an hourly chart 3 consecutive lower swing highs, but there's no way I'm shorting any of this thing. Potentially there's a breakdown short out of here. I'm not doing it. It's not in my nature to short an all-time high. I'm going to move this off the ES and just go to the S&P, just because I don't want to get rid of my lines. But on the S&P, on a daily chart, you really are, we've got a pretty nice upward trend. The last couple of days, we do actually have a nice little pullback coming back down. If we look at this and just draw a trend line, we are coming to the bottom of a rising trend channel. Not real big on studies, but looking at a momentum study and momentum indicator, you can see that we are actually starting to slow down in our momentum. This MACD histogram is starting to get a bit weaker here. I'm not huge on indicators, but I do like using momentum indicators a little bit from time to time because they will tell me a few things. So right now, I can't take too much into this, slowing momentum, other than the fact that we've also, tailing off towards the end of the year. But this is a good chance to get a little bounce and see if we end the year kind of up on a high. I will be interested to see if we do get a little bit of profit taking though, come year end. We saw some big time profit taking as at the year end in Bitcoin, as that really had a big hit. I'm not thinking the S&P is going to do quite that bad on next week. The Nasdaq, looking at the Nasdaq, so we have some small time frame area down here that price hasn't come into. I want to go back to this one on more of on a weekly chart. So on a weekly time period here of the Nasdaq, you can see that strong parabolic move, kind of straight up. I don't want to get rid of my drawings here, so I'm just going to move to the NDX. So looking here at the NDX, you can see straight up movement on the Nasdaq in an upward trend. We've broken above our previous swing high and pulled back a little bit on the daily chart. So on the weekly chart, excuse me. So on the daily, we can see that little bit of a pullback. I think this is a really good buying opportunity if we come back into this range right through here. So I feel like this range right here is going to be a pretty good buying spot, simply because it acted as a resistance point here. Old resistance does indeed sometimes act as new support, especially when it's lined up with a fair price value area. I do believe in fair price value areas combining with true resistance and true support. And that's really the key, is being able to find that around those fair price areas. See a little opportunity there in the Nasdaq. Real quick, I want to take a look at the Russell. So the Russell 2000, which is our small cap index. I like to look at the small cap index, kind of on a weekly basis. I don't look at it on a daily basis because I'm not day trading the Russell. But the Russell, whereas everything else has put in a pretty significant new all-time high, the Russell is definitely a little bit weaker. When I go to my momentum indicator, you can see in the Russell significantly lower on the momentum side than the other markets. So what does that tell me? Well, that tells me that there's a little bit more cause for concern in the rut. One of the things that I was listening to, a financial podcast the other day, And the host on the financial podcast, one of the things that he said about the Russell, and I had never really looked into it, but he had said that of the top 50 stocks, of the 50 largest stocks in the Russell 2000, I want to say that 46 of them had negative earnings and were losing money. And so when you look at that, that's something that can get a little bit scary. So just keep that in mind. It was the podcast I listened to, by the way, is called Wall Street Unplugged with Frank Curzio. It's pretty good. I liked it. And that has really, I'm not a huge fundamental guy, but I do believe that you got to have some fundamentals long term. And when the 50 largest stocks that are in the Russell 2000 are hurting, that's going to be a problem. So just kind of keep that in the back of your head. So go ahead and look at some of our commodities. So crude oil on a weekly time period, you can see that we are rallied back up into, we're sitting right now at this kind of resistance point. We've been unable to kind of come through that, but our upward trend is still intact. Looking at it from a daily perspective, we can see that upward trend, like we said, is still intact, but there's not been a whole lot of movement happening the last couple of weeks. Since about the middle of November, we've gone up about $2, but there's been some downs and ups kind of in between. So I really like this area down here much, much better. I'm just not sure if or when we're going to get to that region. Does have a little bit of fair price at a prior resistance point, and that's kind of what I'd be looking for there. Gold. So gold we had talked about, for those of you that have watched the video on a daily basis, we talk about candle to candle style of trading. So if you are still in this gold position, candle to candle, higher low, 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 you've been rewarded with price hitting our target. Now there's a chance it can continue to run. And if that's the case, that's okay. You just keep moving your stop up below the last low, the last daily low. So right now your stop should be below this low right here. Looks like that's about 1268.6. So your stop should be just below that area right there. And really, I don't give that any wiggle room. If it gets below there, I'm out. And that's how you do proper candle to candle style of trading. And this gold one is still working out okay. For those of you that are swing traders of gold, you've been very, very well rewarded on this trade. Looking at our bond markets. So the bond markets, we are into a daily area. Now we talk about candle to candle style of trading. The bond markets, if I just go in and look at the candle to candle style of trading in the bond markets, we definitely have a potential reversal point right here. It's a high, it's an area of former support right through here, which was a fair price value area, and then a rally up. We've not gotten a strong reaction out of the area, so there's no reason yet to be in. However, if you believe in the candle-to-candle style of trading, take a look. We've got a reversal candle right here. This would be a kind of a high wave doji. This is a I think it's called a spinning top candle. I don't remember all the names of all the candlesticks, but I do know that if we get higher than this candle's high, it's an opportunity to get in, and then our stop would be just below this candle's low. So if you do believe in this particular style, the gold trade was a good example of how to trade these candle to candle style. This one is a decent level. Looking at it from the hourly perspective, we said there's no reason to get in on the hourly chart down here. There's no buying, opportunity that's a high probability. Our currency markets. So the Aussie dollar, we've got a potential long on a pullback down to here into the Aussie. Looking at this on a daily chart, I think there's a good chance it can continue to run up into this region here from where we are. The euro, we've got two areas in the euro that we've just been waiting on for a number of days. We had pointed out, I think, in the last video that this is putting in kind of that, and that's technically an inverted head and shoulder should come at the bottom, but it looks like that price pattern. And not a big price pattern guy, but there may be enough people that buy into it that there could be a breakout long. I expected that my daily chart target was right here on the euro, was not quite able to reach that point. So I think that's pretty much gone from this point. I'll leave the lines on there because I don't see that changing as far as the equation of fair price right there. But I'm gonna continue to monitor it from here. The Canadian dollar, We still have our breakout to the downside on the Canadian dollar. You know, on the hourly chart, it looks like you're missing these really big swings. On the daily chart, it looks like we've just been chopping around. So I'm not going to do anything until we break below this area right through here. That's really our breakdown short on that currency. Last, but certainly not least, the Great British Pound. I will say the Great British Pound for an hourly chart is giving us a potential setup because we're getting slightly lower highs and roughly the same lows. So that could be a setup to get short. The other thing is there's plenty of room to roam. If it breaks down below here, I don't see this as really strong stopping points until down around here. So I think if we get a breakdown out of there, then there's room to roam on the Great British Pound, for those of you that are trading the pound. The Japanese yen, we still have an area down in here for a potential long if price gets into there. You might get a decent short out of this region here. I'm not going to put a line on the chart simply because a couple of reasons. Number one, it's not the time of year that I want to be really doing much short-term trading. The other one is I don't like the time of day that this was created. But I'm going to keep that there as a potential reversal point. Keep an eye on that one in your individual trades. So with that being said, we will obviously not have a video on Monday. We'll be back on Tuesday for the daily market commentary video. Thank you so much for joining us. If you've got any questions, feel free to send me an email. But until next time, fiercely protect your capital, and I will see you soon. Later.